I think this was yesterday. This quote is just unreal. I feel like have we hit rock bottom?
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people.
What are you thinking? Why would you even, how can this combination of words even fall from your lips?
Talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
Sorry, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So that the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus.
I know it's popular on a lot of corners of the left to say that we have a both sides problem. And I'm not going to say we're always perfect. I'm not going to say that conservatives always get things exactly right. But you know the big difference between conservatives and liberals is that no one has tried to kill Kamala Harris in the last couple of months, and two people now have tried to kill Donald Trump in the last couple of months. I'd say that
just as a heads up, and I don't know if the Kamala campaign is leaning into this or not. There have been several really large things. We just don't talk about it because we're just used to conservatives just being insane, like being terrorists, right? Like, Kamala Harris was 20 feet from a live pipe bomb on January 6th that was in the grass, right? Like 20 feet from where she was walking. That was found by the Secret Service. That pipe bomb was live. The Gretchen Whitmer plot, okay, involved a group of conservatives that were willing to go through with a plan to abduct the governor of Michigan. It's unhinged, okay? The Proud Boys, and the Oath Keepers made sophisticated plans via signal to break into the Capitol building and kick people out and hold it down for as long as possible. The Proud Boys were the first people to break in to the Capitol building. Without them there might not have ever been a riot inside the building itself. There was another guy that we just don't talk about anymore. I guess we just expect conservatives to have no standards. There was an insane guy who mailed, or at least tried to mail, bombs to politicians. That we don't talk about any of these people. We just don't talk about any of these people. This was a story for like 3 days, and then we just moved on.
that's pretty strong evidence that the left needs to tone down the rhetoric and needs to cut this crap out. Somebody's going to get hurt by it, and it's going to destroy this country. Somebody is going to get hurt, and you think about what an incredible wound it would open up in the United States of America, all of us. And I promise I will do my part to tone down the rhetoric, but in particular,
yeah, the Paul Pelosi guy.
The people telling you that Donald Trump needs to be eliminated, you guys need to cut it out or you're going to get somebody hurt. And I know it's popular.
A reminder that Kamala Harris called for the murder of President Trump in an Ellen interview from 2018. These clips have aged very poorly, just like Kamala Harris.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
This happens again and again and again on the left. I am sick
Why wasn't the guy? This was in 2018. How is it possible if Democrats are the ones making all these threats? Why did that guy mail pipe bombs, or not pipe bombs? No, they were pipe bombs to Democratic people. What's happening here? What's going on here?
Media, and you haven't done that many posts specifically calling out Russian attacks on civilian areas. You haven't called Vladimir Putin a war criminal, but you have called Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal.
No, actually we did.
Yeah.
In my very first remarks about the Ukraine war, we condemned...
Vladimir Putin's a war criminal in your view.
Yes, we did
And Bashar al-Assad's a war criminal.
Yes, in so many words. Yes, we have said as much.
Many words?
So
you called Netanyahu one, which I think he is.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Is Putin a war criminal?
So what we said about Putin was that his invasion of Ukraine is criminal. It's a criminal and murderous war.
And he's a war criminal who should be on trial.
Well, by implication.
You're struggling here to say...
Oof. I don't think she can go that hard on him, right? If she's getting paid and funded by him, and if they're getting the talking points from the Kremlin, they can't actually directly shut on him. It always has to be misdirection, right? Because at the very least here, it's a criminal and murderous war. Notice how we went from, is Putin a war criminal? While the invasion of Ukraine is criminal, and the war is really bad, right? We've shifted the talking points over about being the war, right? How else could a loser of a third-party candidate from a loser third party, ever stay afloat? It's with foreign money. And that's what Jill Stein's getting.
Of Ukraine is criminal. It's a criminal and murderous war.
And he's a war criminal who should be on trial.
Well, by implication.
You're struggling here to say something very simple. This is why people have their doubts about you in Russia.
Well,
why is Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal but not Vladimir Putin?
Well, as John F. Kennedy said, we must not be afraid to. We must not negotiate out of fear, and we must not fear to negotiate. So, if you want to be an effective world leader, you don't start by
name calling. Well, then why name call Netanyahu? What does that even mean?
Calling and hurling.
So how will President Stein negotiate with Israel then if you call Netanyahu a war criminal?
Well, because he very clearly is a war
so Putin
criminal.
clearly isn't a war criminal.
Well, we don't have a decision, put it this way, by the International Criminal Court.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
actually, you're wrong. There's an arrest warrant for Putin. There isn't yet an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. So why is Putin not a war criminal but Netanyahu?
Did the ICC never make those arrest warrants? I thought they had. Are they still in the recommendation stages? I thought there were arrest warrants. I thought it was issued for the 3 Hamas leaders and then 2 for one for Netanyahu and 1 for Yoav Gallant. That hasn't been approved by the court? Oh. I'm filing. I remember this. Applications. What was the website that we read? Oh, it was this, I think. Okay, so there haven't been arrest warrants issued yet? Okay, gotcha. All right, I remember.
Who is?
Yeah. Let me say this. We are sponsoring that war. We are sponsoring Netanyahu. He is our dog in this fight. That is why we have a responsibility.
No disagreement from me at all. But that does not.
Calling someone a war criminal or not, that shouldn't be the perspective of the United States or our relationship with them. That should be a world perspective or a UN perspective, right?
Answer my question.
With Russia, it's
whether
far
we
more
sponsor them or not is irrelevant. Either you're a war criminal or you're not. Is Vladimir Putin a war criminal?
In so many words, yes, he is.
In so many words. Why does she have to say it like that? God, she's so cuck. She doesn't want to lose those paychecks.
War criminal or you're not? Is Vladimir Putin a war criminal?
In so many words, yes, he is.
I don't know what so many words are. Butch, is Vladimir Putin a war criminal?
Let me say that whatever you think he is, if you want to pull him back...
I'm asking what you think.
If you are a world leader, you don't begin your conversation by calling someone a war criminal unless
so why
you have
have you called Biden and Netanyahu war criminals?
Because we have a clear strategy, and we have a very strong support across the
Bashar
world
al-Assad and Vladimir Putin war criminals in your view? Biden and Netanyahu war criminals?
Because we have a clear strategy, and we have a very strong support across the world.
Is Bashar al-Assad and Vladimir Putin war criminals in your view? In Moscow, shouldn't you say something about the Russian imperialists?
Well, and in fact, I did. And had the speech not been taken down, it lived on the internet on the RT channel. My remarks. See that
you called out the Russian.
Let her finish. Yes, I actually did call that out. And
go ahead.
Yes, it is a Clinton hit job. And that video was a posting on social media. The actual purpose of that visit was to address a conference of media.
I guess I'm gonna name the new weekly videos. Maybe we're still working on the format. I think I'm probably gonna end up posting these weekly to the Bridges channel though instead of my main one. So I don't know what naming scheme we would use for that channel too.
Around the world.
Well, there's a Russia Today conference, which is a propaganda channel for Putin. I mean, it was some
yes,
conference.
in the same way that the BBC is a propaganda channel for
the MSNBC
is a propaganda channel.
Yes.
It's not the same way.
The MSNBC is a propaganda channel for Team Blue.
We have our... Yes, but aren't the American people entitled to decide, what propaganda they're going to listen to?
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not.
What is she? How does it feel you might have your golden play button by the end of the year? I'd need 190,000 subs. There'd have to be some crazy shit happening over the election. And I need to not get assassinated.
Yes, I actually did call that out. And yes, it is a Clinton hit job. And that video was, was a posting on social media. The actual purpose of that visit was to address a conference of media from around the world.
It was a Russia Today conference, which is a propaganda channel for Putin. I mean,
well,
it was a neutral
yes,
conference.
in the same way that the BBC is a propaganda channel for
Just as a reminder, Russia Today is directed by Moscow. It takes orders from Putin's government. The BBC gets state funding, but not state direction. There's a difference between getting funding and direction. The BBC does not take state direction. PBS or NPR does not take state direction. These are very, very, very different types of things.
Yes, we all are,
MSNBC is a propaganda channel for Team
we
Blue.
have our, yes, but aren't the American people entitled to decide, what propaganda they're going to listen to?
I'm not saying you should ban from it. I'm just wondering
when our corporate media will not cover us, yes, then we do have to embrace whatever media we can
you didn't
get.
feel you should criticize Putin?
Actually, I did.
To his face?
She did
Yes,
What did you say to him?
So he was not at that conference, but he heard it.
He was sitting 3 feet away.
That was not the conference. That was a dinner afterwards.
So why not
There were no translators. There was no
Vladimir
introduction.
Putin speaks English.
He was there for 5 minutes before he gave a speech in Russian. Yeah.
If Joe Biden was sitting at a table with you 5 minutes, you wouldn't call him out on Gaza? If Benjamin Netanyahu was sitting at a table with you, you wouldn't call him out?
But
So why not put Putin?
I like how she changes it immediately. He does speak English, right?
If he is unavailable, if he's across the table and there's just screaming noise, what you're going to...
The director of the BBC is appointed by the UK government, though. How would you answer that question? The chairman of the Federal Reserve is appointed by the U.S. president. The Federal Reserve doesn't take policy direction from the U.S. president. The BBC shouldn't be taking media direction from the prime minister or the government. That's my understanding, unless something has changed or I'm misunderstanding that.
Go shout over
You're telling me if you sat at a table with Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu for 5 minutes, you wouldn't say anything
Well,
to them?
this is why I
Sitting
made the
next to his main
point to
spokesman.
focus my speech on these remarks and to criticize Russia for basically
Not just-
following in the U.S.
So here's what
footsteps by
bothers
bombing
us.
Syria.
Here's what, let me finish this English.
if I can understand,
talk about Russia, I'll bring you in. Because
Shouldn't be, but do they? Question mark. Well, I tend to wait for evidence before I make a claim, and if no evidence has been presented, I probably wouldn't just jack off just asking questions over it. I would probably see if there's any evidence of that happening.
you weren't there with respect, Jill was.
That's fair.
On the day you posted that video, on the 17th of December 2015, Russian warplanes bombed a residential area in Aleppo, killed 8 people, including 4 kids. 10 days after you went to that dinner in Russia, on 20th of December, Russian warplanes bombed a marketplace in Idlib, killed over 40 Syrian people in the area. Did you ever condemn any of that?
Yes,
Did you feel
absolutely.
bad about being
Yes.
in Russia, talking about peace while they're dropping bombs?
Well, that was the point. That was one of the
Didn't work,
points
did it?
in my actual remarks. Well, whose has worked? Yes, but I was also on that.
Jesus.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.